Hello, people. Another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. What? Okay, Rocksteady. You call the Xbox Series S a potato? And that is holding video games back? Really, but you're defending Gotham Knights, huh? Well, the Baldur's Gate 3 devs don't think the Xbox Series S is holding video games back. Listen to this. Says here, got two articles, one from WCCF Tech and one from Tech for Gamers. Rocksteady dev called Xbox Series S a potato while defending Gotham Knights at 30 FPS. Says here, I'm going to give you both articles. Says here, the latest gaming industry controversy suddenly exploded a few days ago when Gotham Knights developer WB Games Montreal confirmed that the game would only run at 30 frames per second on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X. Producer Flora Marty has since explained the choice with a message on the official Gotham Knights Discord channel. Then he says, I know many of you are wondering about the availability of performance mode for Gotham Knights on console. Due to the types of feature we have in our games, like providing a full untethered co-op experience in our highly detailed open world, it's not as straightforward as lowering the resolution and getting a higher FPS. For this reason, our game does not have a performance/quality toggle option and will run at 30 FPS on consoles. However, fans' reaction nonetheless range from heavy disappointment to outright anger. After all, Gotham Knights was initially planned for previous generation console as well. The game recently became next-gen exclusive, but what apparently wasn't enough to warrant a performance mode on Xbox Series S and X and PS5. A fellow developer from Rocksteady, the Batman Arkham Studio, which is also under WB Games umbrella, senior character technical artist Lee DeVonald, tried to defend Gotham Knights makers with a series of tweets that end up inflaming the situation. Even further, he pointed out that the Xbox Series S is not much better than the Xbox One console and may be the culprit. I wish gamers understood what 60 FPS means in terms of all the things they lose to make the game run that fast, especially taking into account that we have a current gen console that's not much better than a last gen one. Series S GPU, mostly multi-perform games, always have to optimize for lowest performer. In a follow-up message, he went as far as calling the Xbox Series S a potato that hamstrung the entire generation of games. The Series S exists though, and Microsoft won't let you launch on one without the other. An entire generation of games hamstrung by that potato. He said here, needless to say, DeVonald comment generate an even stronger outrage. Not only did he have to delete the tweets, but also his entire account. Truth be told, this is far from the first developer comment openly critical of the Xbox Series X console. The first one came from ID Software lead engineer programmer Billy Can, who was concerned about the drastic lower amount of RAM and the split memory banks. A few months later it launched. Remedy Thomas Pua said optimization for the console was nowhere near as simple as lowering things like rendering resolution or texture quality. A month before that, 4A Games CTO Oli Sand Shai Kostova told us in an exclusive interview that the Xbox Series S SRAM wasn't an issue, but the GPU performance would be challenging for future titles. Earlier this year, Dying Light 2 lead designer Timon Schmechtela stated that the Xbox Series S GPU was holding Techland back from going beyond 30 FPS in games. Interestingly though, just a couple of months ago, Microsoft announced select software improvement that would enhance the performance of the Xbox Series S. Hundreds of additional megabytes of memory are now available to Xbox Series S developers. This gives developers more control over memory which can improve graphics performance in memory-constrained condition. Titles can now take better advantage of recent memory enhancements. We address an issue where graphics virtual address were being allocated considerably slower than non-graphics virtual address. It is unclear whether WB Games Montreal could take advantage of these enhancements in time for the release of Gotham Knights. Perhaps the studio could add a performance mode in the future patch, or at least unlock the frame rate for those users with variable refresh rates displays. Right? All right. Now, let me get through this one. Here's the dagger to counter what WB Games are saying. Baldur's Gate 3 devs believe Xbox Series S does not hold back gaming. Says here, the Xbox Series S has been considered a double-edged sword for Microsoft. While it offers cheapest entry into current generations of console gaming, its lowered-end hardware can be problematic for developers. Since Microsoft has announced that games on platform cannot skip the Xbox Series S, the industry has debated if the cheaper console is holding back more capable hardware like PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X for multi-platform releases. CEO Larian Studios, the CEO of Larian Studios, was recently asked about his opinion on the subject. Contrary to popular thoughts, he did not have negative opinions on the Xbox Series S. Why it matters: the budget offering from Microsoft accounts for most of the 21 million sales of the two consoles. This makes it critical to Microsoft, and fans should not expect support to be dropped anytime soon. Says here, in the past, Studios has faced difficulties with split-screen co-op on the budget hardware. Following these issues, Larian Studios has yet to announce an official release date for the Xbox Series X/S version. However, Baldur's Gate 3 is launching on the PlayStation 5 in September. Replying to the host's question about the Xbox Series S affecting third-party releases throughout the generation, Sven Vinke said, "I think it's an okay proposition to say we have two devices. We want compatibility across the devices. To answer your question, it is just defines parameters within which you have to develop, and there are ways of going about. There are ways of doing that. They just take development efforts." And then Sven Vink, the CEO of Larian Studios, one of the directors of Baldur's Gate 3, according to the developer, the Xbox Series S, like any other hardware, comes with its own challenges. This does not make it inherently terrible, even if it leads to compromise for games. The director compared it to PC development, claiming that studios have been used to scaling games down for different configurations. Therefore, Xbox Series S provides a similar challenge. He also emphasized that studios have the choice between specific platforms, using a hypothetical PlayStation 7 console to make his point. If the PlayStation 7 was currently available, it would present a choice between skipping the older hardware for more capabilities or developing for previous consoles to ensure the game reaches more players. Then he says, the PC platform has always offered a similar dilemma due to new graphics card every 2 years, and the Xbox Series S is no different. According to Sven Vink, Larian Studios does not have enough resource to work on all versions simultaneously. As such, with enough time and effort, games can be made to work on Microsoft budget console. Previously, Matt from Xbox has made a similar claim, encouraging developers to plan for budget Xbox hardware. And then he says here, nonetheless, Sven Vink remains confident in Larian Studios. The developers believe the team will eventually be able to optimize Baldur's Gate 3 for Xbox consoles, but it could take several more months. All right, that's the end of both articles. One from WCCF Tech, and one from Tech for Gamers. WB Games are saying the Xbox Series S is a potato and holding developers back. But the article on Tech for Gamers, the Baldur's Gate 3 devs is saying something completely different. Baldur's Gate 3 devs believe Xbox Series S does not hold gaming back. So it really comes down to having more time and having more time to make sure that the game really works on the console. See, a lot of people on YouTube and the internet, were bashing the Series S because of its 1440p and the amount of RAM and CPU it was using. If they were doing that, then they need to look at the Nintendo Switch, because the Nintendo Switch to me is a straight joke. The Series S is not a bad console. Is that Microsoft made the Series S so for people who can't afford the Series X, they can still play the game, get the Series S and play the games at 1440p, and then enjoy the games that way. So and then go on from there. But developers, I think this really comes down to the developers. I think a lot of them are being picky, or they're playing favorites between the Series X and S. They're using the Series S and blaming it for a lot of problems, and then give the Series X, giving the Series X a lot of praise. But then the same developers now who makes games for PCs, when it comes to graphics cards, they have to optimize those games, to make sure those games work on different graphics cards, because people that have desktop PCs, they have different PCs with different specs and different configurations, with different graphics card. So to try to use now to use the Series S as the problem or the scapegoat, I think it just really comes down to the developers, picking on the Series S. It's like the big brother picking on the little brother, that way. But I think the Series S is pretty good. I do, and me personally, I wish it had a drive for it, like a Blu-ray drive for it, to where you can buy the actual physical game and then play it. That's what I was thinking when it comes to the Series S. That's the only issue I have with it, as far as the console goes. For me, it's the fact that it doesn't have like an external like Blu-ray drive, to where you can play a physical game on it. And that's the only problem. But other than that, I think the console is pretty good. Rocksteady, on the other hand, now, when Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League comes out, that game is gonna get review bombed. They jumped all over it when it first came out. I think in May, a couple months back. But now they had to take the game to the drawing board because of the feedbacks they were getting. When that game comes back out, it's about to get review bombed again. So, yeah, Rocksteady opened a can of worms on that one. But other than that, man, I think the Series S is pretty good. I just wish Microsoft would have made a drive for it, provide an update for it, to where you go buy a Blu-ray drive, and you connect it through the USB port, and then play your games that way, play your physical games that way. That's what I wish they do. But other than that, man, I think the Series S is pretty good. I just think it comes down to the developer, I think some developers are better at optimizing games than others, It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the specs of the console. I just think some developers, some when it comes to optimizing games and make sure they run on different hardware, I think developers some developers are at beginner level, some are at intermediate, and then some are at advanced. And the ones that are at beginner they and intermediate, they got some learning to do about optimization and how to like use what they have to get the best out of it. The ones that are advanced at optimizing, they love they can get a game to work on the Series S. That's what I think it is. You know, when it comes to the Series S, I just think there when it comes to making games for the Series S, you got developers that are beginners, intermediate, and advanced. The advanced developers, they can make a game work for the Series S. The beginners and the intermediates, they're still learning how to use what they have and try to make the best of it. That's what I think about this whole situation when it's all said and done. But other than that, I think the Series S needs an external Blu-ray drive so we can play the physical games. I do think that, but I think the Series S is still a good console at the end of the day. Anyway, leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, on Star Wars and Star Trek thing. Dark Side. Go. Peace.